Hello, hello. We are back. I am Toxic Jordan.
And I'm Larks.
We are going to be your captains for the next probably 40 minutes here. So we are starting the next pool. Looks like we've got Sonny facing off against Corgi. They've got a massive card draw here. So the first song that they're going to be playing is The World Ends Now, Expert. And then it looks like Corgi actually used her pocket pick early on Blew My Mind, Expert. So that should be a very, very exciting song to see.
Yeah. I watched them play one warm-up set earlier, and they were looking very close. They were having some very close matches in the warm-up.
Yes, definitely, definitely. The competition has just been getting so ridiculous as these pools rise. So I'm sure we can expect more of the same from here on out.
I think they're both SoCal players, so I think they probably have played together quite a bit, I think.
Yeah. Sonny is originally from Fresno, and he lives in the Bay now. But, all of us California players tend to commingle right. At various events and stuff. So, yeah, we're all very well versed in each other's strengths and weaknesses.
World Ends Now is a pretty, let's say, straightforward but fast and tiring 16.
Yeah, definitely. And, if they haven't gotten enough of a warm-up, this could be rough for the legs here.
not the easiest song to play at cold, for sure.
All right, both players starting out pretty strong here. Neither one of them seeming to have too many issues adjusting to the sync of the cab, which is nice. Definitely a concern for your first tournament match here on a new cab that you haven't played on before, right?
Yeah, the sync does feel a little different between the warm-up cab and the actual tournament cab, so it can be a little tricky to adjust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of them nailing that 12-note tricky crossover.
Wow, okay, looks like we have a little bit of an early lead from Corgi, but there's still a lot of song left.
A little bit of a break here, not the best you'll get in the song, I think.
Wow, both players handling that massive section of notes very well.
Corgi's still a little bit ahead, but it's quite close.
Sonny's still got a chance here. He just has to tighten up a little bit.
Corgi does take it.
All right.
It's close song.
Yep, looks like Corgi takes it.
Very close perfect counts, but Sonny picking up a few more greats, not costing him.
Okay, so
Second song is Corgi's Pocket Pick, Blew My Mind. Very technical.
Yeah, so it looks like Sonny's going to probably have to try even harder here to get the win, because, we can assume that Corgi is very, very confident in this chart here.
Starts off with some very nasty slowdown right at the beginning. At least I find it very hard. Some very slow scroll speed step jumps.
Yeah, definitely. Even just reading it can be a bit of a nightmare if you don't have a high enough speed mod. Which obviously you're very limited to because it does have such a wide BPM range.
Yeah. Step jumps are one of those patterns that for me somehow gets a lot harder when you're reading slow. I think if you're reading it fast, it's not so bad, but sometimes it's easy to get a little mentally blocked on it.
Absolutely, yeah, I feel the exact same way. And a lot of the times I do depend on, you know, sudden plus, which obviously
Yeah.
isn't an option in a chart like this where there's 0 breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess historically, from what I know about these two players, Sonny, you know, tends to play a little bit on the lower end. Recently, he's been breaking into a lot more of, you know, the upper end content, which is why he's been seated so high and placed in the pool he's in.
Yeah.
But Corgi is predominantly, you know, like a stamina heavy player. She is very, very comfortable on a lot of these harder charts. So I can't say that I am too surprised to see, you know, the results of the first match going how it did.
Yeah. 4x slowdown. Corgi coming out of that slowdown with a decent lead, but a lot of song left to go. Another slowdown here. Very tricky rhythms.
Wow. Both players handling it very well, managing to hold their combo through it. This is looking pretty heavily in Corgi's favor at the moment, which again, as her pocket pick, makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And while this is going to give her an advantage in this first matchup, this also means that she doesn't have this, right? And this is something that Sonny still has in his back pocket for later in the pool. So nice, very impressive performance by Corgi there. A well-deserved victory indeed.
Two grays, very clean.
Yeah, so we'll see if Corgi can continue to the crowd going absolutely insane right now. As we get into the afternoon hours here, it looks like a lot more people are showing up, so the crowd's going to start getting very, very intense.
Yeah, it's definitely getting busy, getting crowded. People are hyped to see these matches. Some really strong players.
Yeah, so we'll see if Corgi is able to maintain that dominating lead without her pocket pick available for the next few rounds here, because, you know, the way that these Swiss pools are working out is because she 2-0'd her opponent, she's going to be matched up potentially against somebody else that's done the same thing.
Yeah,
and if that player hasn't already used their pocket pick, then she could be going into that match with a disadvantage.
Yeah, it can be a little scary. He'll be playing someone else who also did well in their first set and potentially still has pocket pick left.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had to guess, I think that might have been a friendly troll, as I know those players are friends, so she might have been doing that just to get under his skin a little bit. All in good fun, though, obviously. All right, so our next matchup here, we have a SoCalDDR player, Zachary. DDRisAwesome, and a Fresno local, Desklamp. One of my personal best friends, actually. So it looks like their set here is going to be Possession 20th. Wow, Possession 20th challenge. That is going to be a nutty first song to go into.
Yes.
And then following it up with Trim Expert.
Possession 20th, very difficult, very technical. Probably most people would say one of the hardest 18s.
Yeah.
At least to score on.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, so we'll see. You know, Zachary is the underdog here. He did just advance out of the previous pool. Played very well there. And this is going to be Desklamp's very first song on the cabinet. Very first tournament song of the day. So this is going to be a doozy.
Hard to say, yeah, I mean, Zachary could be a little tired from having to have just played a pool, but on the other hand, Desklamp might not be completely warmed up yet, and if you're not totally warmed up, Possession 20th is definitely a very difficult song to play.
Yes.
Even if you are warmed up, it's very difficult to play.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see. I did have a chance to speak to Desklamp one-on-one before, you know, before his pool started, and he sounded like he was pretty confident, pretty comfortable. He was feeling good. So
Nice.
We'll see if, you know, the footwork matches the attitude.
Should be an exciting match.
All right, so it looks like both players have definitely played this chart before. They definitely seem to have some, you know, some level of knowledge here. Right, no players hitting shocks or anything yet.
They both look pretty familiar.
Yeah, definitely.
One shot
a little bit of flavor there coming from Zachary. He is such a character. Definitely one of the more entertaining folks to watch play. Wonderful. Both players handling that very, very difficult section of the song very well.
Just the first set of possession jumps here. Right after this, we'll have the very, very hard crossover slowdown. Probably maybe the hardest part of the chart, I would say.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, and on the note of fatigue,
Yeah.
this chart is so relentless that these players, you know, are going to have to put it so much gas in the tank to get through it.
To kind of double step and bracket through some of that, while Desklamp did his best to hit the turns clean.
Yeah, it does look like Desklamp has kind of got a bit of a commanding lead, but you know, anything can definitely happen, especially in a shock arrow chart that's this dense, right? Hitting one shock can do so much negative to your score as it blocks your view of the arrows coming up.
The last set of possession jumps here.
Yeah, both players definitely having probably feeling the pain of this chart at this point.
Yeah, but Desklamp looking like he's got a pretty solid lead here. They both are looking a little tired after this one, for sure.
Yo, I'm sure.
Nice. Desklamp does take it.
All right. Desklamp takes it. Yeah, I'm sure that was
He looks like he was working hard for that one, though. Definitely. They both look like they're kind of grimacing in pain.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you know, the crowd and us and you guys probably enjoyed that a lot more than the players did.
Yeah.
As you can see, both of them kind of keeled over here, just trying to catch their breath. I do not blame them. I definitely wouldn't have wanted to play this in tournament.
Yeah. At least the next song, Trim, you know, has a pretty long, slow section at the beginning that's not very physical before it kind of heats up a little bit at the end. So that should give them a little bit of a break to sort of catch their breath and just focus in on their timing.
Definitely worth noting here on Zachary's side, only 12 misses is very impressive on that chart. But yeah, definitely the players are going to see a bit of a break here for a moment. We'll just see how they're able to handle the jelly legs going into a very, very timing-based 16. So
it's a very strange 16. I think it's
it's
from the
extremely unique.
Supernova era?
I believe so. Yeah,
it's it's one of those. Starts off had a half speed for quite a long time, for like maybe half, 2/3 of the chart, before speeding up and having some runs with kind of weird jacks.
Yeah, and that last 20% being at full speed is probably just a little bit too much that you definitely have to modify your speed mod, you know, to account for it, which means both players are going to be reading very, very slow for the first half of the song.
If you're really familiar, you might be able to push it up like a little bit. It's sort of short enough that you might be able to get away with it, but it's not short enough that you could probably memorize it or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
The crowd is really getting into it, having fun with this match.
Yes, absolutely. The crowd hyping these players up quite a bit. Looks like Desklamp opting to play the 10 here. Can't blame him.
Yeah, fair enough. If I had just played Possession 20, I definitely would be playing the 10 if someone picked this on me.
I don't know that I would have been able to play any other song after.
Yeah. We're about to start here.
Second stage. All right, let's go.
Desklamp is reading it a little bit slower. This nice chill, relaxing part for quite a while here.
Yeah.
Just focusing on timing. It's a little bit, the sync is a little weird, as I recall. It's not the easiest to time this slowdown.
Yeah, and as we were mentioning, especially on a new cab that you haven't been very used to playing on yet, it can be certainly very challenging to adjust to the sync. But Desklamp, as you can see there, is using the Hidden Plus modifier, which is a strategy that a lot of players use, you know, to help them time a little bit better. just blocking the view above the arrows, you know, it essentially gives you that center guideline, just a little bit more of an accurate point to focus on, as far as being able to, you know, rely on visual timing, which, especially when you're reading this slow, is very, very important.
Yeah. Was Desklamp using that on possession 20?
He was,
Okay.
yeah. I believe that's a
like-
staple for him. He technically, generally uses it on every song he
Yeah, it
plays.
seems like most players that do it on every song.
Yeah.
Here we get to the speed up.
All right, both players catching those notes very well.
It's very close right now.
Desklamp starting to fumble a little bit there. It's actually very neck and neck at the moment.
Maybe
This could be anyone's game.
1 or 3x difference. So I think it's dead tie now.
Wow.
Desklamp pulling away a little bit. Back to the slowdown. Looks like Desklamp has probably got it here.
Yeah.
Very close.
All right, and Desklamp takes it. Very, very impressive match by these two players.
Close scores. So Desklamp takes that set 2-0.
Yes. That is going to be very, very good to start him out, you know, kind of in the lead here. Things looking promising for him in this pool.
Yep.
We don't have very many pools left to rise through before we enter the final tournament bracket, so
This one, and then one more, I think, and then we're into top 12.
yeah, so the hard work will definitely pay off. All right, so we got a bit of a waiting period here, I assume, as we finish up a match on the opposite cabinet being displayed on the other stream. SoCalDDR on Twitch, if you want to go check out that stream as well. Because we've got all these pools running in tandem. We've got so many matches to get through. So yeah, as we are in this waiting period here, Larks, tell me, what is your favorite DDR song?
Favorite song or favorite chart or both?
We'll go favorite chart.
Favorite chart. It's tough. I feel like it's a little bit like when your teacher asks you to like walk up to the board and like solve the problem in front of your class, in front of the class.
All of a sudden you forget how to do math.
What's
and
any chart in the game?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something I've been playing recently. Oh, I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I've been playing Sandblow a lot recently. Did use that as my pocket pick today. Had been working on that one. I do like that chart a lot.
Yeah, Sandblow is definitely a unique one. Those
very twisty. Got some interesting crossover patterns that you don't find in too many other charts.
Yeah,
especially not at the 15 level.
Right. And even those few gimmicks that it has can definitely throw players off if you're not, you know, fully used to when they speed back up.
Yeah,
and
I think
stuff.
it's definitely a hard chart if you haven't played it much and like you have to play it in a tournament. It can be a little nasty.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those charts that's constantly throwing different things out at you that you certainly won't be ready for. Yeah, very hard sight read. Definitely. Well, I guess I could mention my pocket pick as well was DDR Megamix. That is one of my favorite charts.
I saw you play that.
Yeah, that is a really fun one. Okay, so we've got our next two players here coming up, Ike Pie and Yoshi. I believe Yoshi was one of the players who advanced from the previous pool as well.
I think so.
So yeah, we're seeing another underdog matchup here.
Looks like they're playing Globe Glitter 15 and New York Evolve Type B 16, which is a little bit of a slightly chiller set, I would say, than the last one. New York Type B is a bit rude, but Globe Glitter, I think, for these players at this level, I expect to be kind of an MA battle, nothing too technical, too physically difficult in there for them.
Definitely going to be a much easier kind of warm-up going into the set for these two players here. I don't imagine that they'll struggle too much on this first song.
Although when it really comes down to these battle of perfects, it can be tricky when you have to adjust to the cab. It can make a big difference. Like even if it only takes you 15 seconds at the beginning of the song to sort of get used to the sync, if you pick up 5 or 10 perfects there, that can make the difference in a close match like this.
No, absolutely. And you might even make the case that you know, starting out with the 18 like they did on the last set is almost advantageous because it gives you the entire song to sort of acclimate to the cabinet, you know, where pulling a few extra perfects here or there probably isn't going to make a huge difference in the overall score of the song, whereas here, I imagine that a few perfects is going to make the difference of a win or a loss.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, for on that front, then we might say that Yoshi has the advantage, having already played on the cabinet a few times in the previous pool.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh,
False start there.
yeah, false start. I'm assuming maybe we had like some type of options.
Yeah, not sure.
Mistake. We will update you as soon as we find out exactly what is going on here. We've got. Oh, it looks like we got a screw that is loose on one of the brackets on Yoshi's side. So we're gonna go ahead and get a tech in here to fix it up real quick, and then we'll be on our way.
Not a bad song to listen to on the preview though, I would say, while we wait.
Certainly, yeah. Good background music for the whole audience here. All right, Sonny coming in to save the day.
Do you know where Yoshi is coming from?
I actually don't. I am not 100% sure where Yoshi is based. I know that Ike Pie is a SoCal player, though. He's based in SoCal, yeah.
All right, it's like we're ready to go here. Very quick pad maintenance.
Yeah, I do know that Yoshi isn't from SoCal, as the previous pool was made up pretty much entirely of SoCal players, and he was the one outlier, was what I was hearing. So yeah, good on him for being able to take down an entire team of people who are very well versed in each other's strengths and weaknesses and stuff, and play at a lot of the same arcades.
Yeah, I think sometimes that could be an advantage if other people maybe don't know quite what you're good at, but it can also work the other way where you don't know as much about the other players as well.
Yeah, and I think that definitely played to Yoshi's advantage in his previous pool, right?
Both looking very strong on this so far, very solid at A.
Yes, Ike Pie still holding the yellow combo here.
Probably is maybe slightly ahead.
Yeah, which again is very, very impressive seeing him acclimate to the timing of the cab so quickly. Already just streaming Marvelouses like it's no big deal. Super impressive. Oh, and actually it looks like we're seeing the hidden plus strategy coming from him as well.
Yeah. Interestingly, he seems to kind of put it at the top of the receptors as opposed to, I feel like more often I see people put it kind of in the middle.
Right in the middle, right.
It's just what you're used to, I guess.
Yeah.
Break. Ike Pie is up 7.
All right, Ike Pie up a little bit, but it's definitely not over yet. It's definitely safe to assume that Ike Pie's got more in the tank, being fresh, whereas Yoshi just played an entire pool, right?
Yeah, definitely. Six matches with 6 songs in a pool. It's like if you're playing especially 17s, 18s, it can get really quite tiring.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will take that one by 13. The PFC, very nice.
Coming in strong, showing why we should be intimidated by him. 19 perfect PFCs. Very, very impressive thing to just pull out.
Yeah. And Yoshi with just one good, and 29 was also a very good score.
Yeah, looks like he is fiddling with the up arrow there. It's looking very sensitive, so I'm not sure if he maybe thought that was pad or something. Very, very possible. Something to keep an eye on for sure, right? But we've got a wonderful support crew here who are diving into the pads at anyone's whim to make sure that the gameplay remains fair throughout the entirety of the tournament. So, and I believe what the ruling that is happening, if I remember correctly, the way that they have it set up is if you feel like you've gotten a pad error or two, you can request like a replay on the song so long as the final EX score is within 6 points.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So yeah, if it basically is pretty much game deciding, you know, then they are allowing that leniency, which I think is a very, very good rule to add.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been at tournaments in the past where someone has literally lost a song because of an obvious pad error, and they haven't had
really
you know,
unfortunate.
yeah, like a rule set in place to kind of help for those things. So then, you know, players are just kind of SOL.
Yeah.
And that always feels bad to see.
All right. Next up, we got New York Type B. Very technical 16.
Yes, definitely a very different chart from what we just saw, right?
Not straightforward to MA at all. Some stops here at the beginning. Both holding a PFC through the intro. Tied. X.
Yeah. So another thing to note about Ike Pie is that he actually has a very, very slow read speed. If you'll notice here, he's only at 2.5. That is just something that he is comfortable with. I believe he comes, you know, from the older scene. He's been playing for a very long time. You know, you'll also notice that he's not using the guidelines.
Yeah.
He's very, very used to the old DDR ways, and it seems to work for him even today. So. Very, very impressive, right? Because typically with the meta, we see players pushing their read speed upwards of like 650 to be able to cope with these, you know, dense charts. But he doesn't even need it, and he's still able to rip. Very, very impressive to see.
It's the nice piano slowdown. New York B.
Yeah, so we'll see if that slow read speed is going to affect Ike Pie here at all. His chart is absolutely crawling on his side of the screen.
Yeah, but both still holding PFC, which is very impressive. That ending is probably the most difficult part. Some very hype stops here.
Yes.
Pretty pops off pretty hard.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Some players opt to do some exciting bracket tag here. I don't know if either of them is going for it. It's a little risky. You can, you know, pick up a miss, but it is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we get
Okay,
into
both
crossovers.
players finally breaking that PFC here.
But still very close. Yoshi
Yes.
is a little bit ahead, but anyone's game.
Yeah, Ike Pie falling behind a little bit here. Wow, and Yoshi takes it. Wonderful. He was just able to, you know, hold on through the ending of that chart a little bit better.
Wow, 33 is a very good perfect count.
Yeah, that is super hard to contend with. All right, and it looks like the set goes 1-1.
Good set.
This is where things start to get interesting in the pools, right? When we've got all these 1-1 matches happening, that's when we've got all the ties and things like that going on later. So yeah, we'll see if we see more of those 1-1s coming up.
And in the Swiss format, you do get a sort of bonus point if you 2-0 in your set, so it is like a big advantage if you can go 2-0 in your set versus picking like 2 sets where you go 1-1. You don't get as many points.
Yeah, definitely. I think in the previous pool we saw quite a few 1-1 matches, and that definitely does affect like the final scores. And there was, you know, ties in that pool as well. And that is just going to be inevitable if players aren't, you know, capitalizing on that 2-0 victory to maximize their point totals. So. All right, looks like we have hit that delay period again. Okay, players are approaching now. Exciting stuff. So it looks like we have Anson coming up next, which is very, very exciting. Anson actually started in pool 14 and has fought his way through 2 pools and is now here in pool 16. He has been an absolute force to be reckoned with in this tournament today. Apparently had come back from a 3-year hiatus and recently started playing again. But obviously has not lost any bit of the skill.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that's not like fairly common in DDR. You know, a lot of the time, people that really used to be good back in the day, they can come back and they can pick it up quick and really be putting up impressive scores in a short amount of time. It's sort of, the muscle memory goes deep.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So I'm sure that Selzla, seeing the performance from Anson today is quaking in his boots.
Selzla is a Seattle player. Reppin' Seattle.
Yeah,
I'm also from
okay,
Seattle,
fellow
so,
Seattle, yeah, fellow Seattle player. Nice. Yeah, and so actually it's worth noting that Anson has home field advantage. He's from Vegas.
True.
So yeah, he comes to this arcade often, so he is going to have a lot more comfortability on these cabs than other players would. So yeah, that is wonderful. All right, yeah, looks like we're jumping in with Paranoia KSKST.
Maybe go for the top challenge.
I think go for the top is what we saw there.
Pretty difficult set. 17 into an 18.
Yeah.
KSKST is a relatively more straightforward 17, but pretty quick, pretty tiring.
Yeah, so typically we've been talking about how it's kind of advantageous for the players who have come up from the previous pools because they're already warmed up and they've already played on the cabs. But at this point, seeing how many 17s and 18s Anson has had to play through today, we might even be reaching the point of fatigue where, having been playing is going to start to be a disadvantage.
Yeah, coming up through 2 pools is a lot of hard songs to have to play.
Yeah, especially at these high heights, right? I don't think that we've seen him play anything lower than a 16 today.
Yeah. Both of them, well, Selzla I think a little earlier, and Anson losing his PFC in that crossover, but very close X score here.
Yeah, both players definitely putting up a fight here.
I think this is the kind of trade that both of them probably can get a really good score on. Selzla's a little bit ahead, but very close still.
Yeah, looks like Selzla is coming out to that lead here. But Anson's timing is definitely not to be trifled with. He can absolutely start streaming those marvelouses and make a comeback from behind. It is possible.
Ends off with some pretty hard step jumps into the death run a little bit, so it's still very close. 2x difference.
Wow, yeah, and it looks like Anson has made a little bit of that comeback. Let's see who's going to come out on top here.
It's gonna come down to this run.
Wow, and Anson is able to pull it out.
It's a comeback. Very nice.
Absolutely insane come from behind victory there. 1 great and 1 miss. That is so impressive to see.
Great clean runs.
Yeah, the MA very, very close by both players, but just looks like those few fumbles for Selzla lost him the song.
Yeah, picking up a few more greats, making the difference.
We've got some crowd chanting going on for Anson. Well deserved at this point. The boy has been working so hard today.
He didn't really look, I mean, it's a little hard to say, but he didn't look too fatigued. He still looked like reasonably fresh.
He is definitely still kicking, so which I'm excited for. I'm rooting for him. I'm an Anson stan at this point. I want to see him go all the way. I think that would be, very, very good for him. He's also such a nice person. I was talking with him earlier today. He's just so kind-hearted. Just a lovely guy to have around in the scene. I'm very glad that he did decide to come back from his hiatus because he is a very welcomed addition to our DDR community.
All right, so it does look like we'll have to go for the top challenge here. It's our next song. It's a very twisty 18. A lot of crossovers.
Yeah, definitely. A different flavor from the chart that we just saw, which is, arguably more straightforward.
Yeah, more of a stamina kind of.
Yeah, so if either player does struggle with crossovers a bit, then that could definitely hurt their score here, right?
Yeah. It's very annoying anchored triples.
Yeah, but up in these high pools, it's going to be really, really hard to depend on other players' weaknesses to get you through because there are going to be fewer and farther between.
So far, they're very close, just a few X difference.
Yeah, both players trading a few drops here and there.
Yeah, Selzla is struggling maybe a little more in that run. But still very close. Very obnoxious slowdown.
All right, and it looks like Anson is kind of pulling out ahead, which is a dangerous thing for him to do because, as you guys saw in the last song, he, you know, when he locks in, he is not coming back out.
Yeah. Sort of a little mini break here before going into sort of the final set of very hard crossovers. Oh, Selzla handling it really well.
Wow, Anson dropping a lot there, fumbling big time.
Oh,
wow!
Really close.
What a match! Selzla almost had it by 2 EX. That is so insane.
He handled those ending crossovers really well, but it just wasn't quite enough.
Wow, so we see yet another 2-0 victory by Anson. I'm telling you, man, he is the one to watch out for today.
He's got the momentum. Sometimes that can also make a difference. Like
Yeah.
you're just feeling it, and you won 2 pulls in a row. You're feeling
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely, and then at some point you've got the crowd on your side, and then it's just liftoff from there. Wow, very, very cool. So we've seen, I want to say about 4 or 5 players since the very beginning of the tournament who have advanced 2 pools. But I don't think that we've seen a single player advance 3 pools yet.
I think
so.
NRM, I think, made it to pool 15, starting from pool 12.
13.
Or
He started in 13. He was in my pool at 13 at the start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he advanced 2 as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
so
right too. Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't think we've actually seen a player go 3 pools.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a way harder thing to do up at these high heights, and it looks like Anson could be on his way to do that. Would be very, very impressive to see that happen. So we'll have to wait and see how the rest of this pool plays out, but he is in a good spot right now getting that 2-0 victory. The building here is filling up quite a bit. We've got lots and lots of viewers, which is definitely to be expected as we get towards the end of the tournament here.
Yep.
Yeah, so lots of hype going on. You can feel the energy in the building.
Even the people that stayed out a little late maybe and slept in, they're awake, they're here, they're ready for the bracket.
Yes,
ready
that
to see
is,
these top pools.
That is the one of the side effects of the tournament being in Vegas. There's all kinds of opportunities to go out, and people are definitely not passing up on that. I will say that much.
That's an advantage of being such a high seed. Your pool starts a little later, you get that time to sleep in. You don't have to be up at 8 a.m. to play your pool first thing in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like we are yet again going to be waiting for the other side to finish up some matches before we're able to get the next matchup of players in here.
So you can this entire section can be yours, or we can be right back. It's entirely up to you.
We can just chat.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so you said you're Seattle-based.
Yeah, I'm from Seattle area originally. I was in LA. I was living in LA for like a little less than a year and just moved back to Seattle like a year and a half ago. So I do know a lot of the LA players.
Yeah.
Had the chance to meet them.
Right.
Which is nice. Nice to see them all again. Like it's been a while since I've seen a lot of them. But
Yeah, I
good
think
to reconnect.
that is a huge tournament sentiment. There are so many people I haven't seen in years. Yeah, because I actually took a little hiatus myself for about 6 to 8 months or something like that. So yeah, I was out of the scene for a little bit. I missed a lot of the recent big DDR events.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to be back. So many friendly faces that I haven't seen in so long.
Sometimes it could be nice to take a little break. Come back. You're a little more fired up.
Yeah.
Sometimes even like taking 6 months is a while, but like even taking a few weeks off, sometimes you can kind of clear out some like bad habits that maybe are starting to form in your muscle memory or things like that.
Definitely, yeah. I know it's especially when you're grinding charts,
Yeah.
and then it's easy to pick up those mental blocks and stuff. And after coming back from that hiatus, you drop all of those for sure. That is a very common thing to happen.
Of course, the opposite can also happen. I've had that happen before where you take a break and like something that you used to was like, oh, I could get this every time before, and now it's like suddenly it's like, I don't know what happened, but it's like not working out anymore.
Certain things, yeah, you can have those changes for sure. Luckily for me, it seems like my timing has stuck through. But the main thing that goes away super fast is the stamina.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that is certainly something that I struggled with today.
Yeah, I think that is one of the nice things about DDR is like almost I would say no matter how long, even if you take like years off, like if you have that really tight timing when you come back, it comes back like pretty quick. The stamina is a little tougher, can take a little more grinding to build back up, but
right, as it's like a physical thing versus a mental thing. Okay, so we are getting into our next match here. Looks like we've got Desklamp versus Corgi.
nice.
This is going to be a very exciting matchup. Another battle between friends.
Yeah. Two very tricky 16s here.
Yeah,
Pucci
oh
and
my
the
goodness.
Chaos Challenge.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the set.
Yeah. Definitely test their chart knowledge. I'm sure they're both quite familiar with both these charts, but
From what I know about the two players, I would say that Desklamp probably has an edge in this matchup here. He does actually have the 16 gold lamp, so he has PFC'd both of these songs. So I know that he is very well practiced in them, whereas Corgi, as mainly a stamina-heavy player, I think tends to struggle a little bit on gimmickier songs.
Yeah.
That being said, she did pick one of these, so there's got to be some level of confidence there for sure.
yeah, I missed whether she picked Pucci or picked Chaos. But Pucci will have to read most of it pretty slow because it sort of speeds up only right at the end. A lot of tricky green note swing, some very fast drills.
Yeah, the chart being, I believe, what, 220,
220,
if I'm correct? Looks like both players opting to read at 2.75, which is probably pretty common for this song, unless you're comfortable pushing up to that 660 read speed for the fast part at the end, which definitely will help for all of this Skittles note hell right here in the middle.
Desklamp is a bit ahead here. A lot of chart left. Both handling it fairly well. Corgi picked up a miss there in that drill, which is easy to do with how fast the drills are.
Yeah, certainly. This is a really rough song to play in tournament, as the hardest portions of the song have now already passed. So with Desklamp looking like he has about a 70-80 point lead here at the moment, it's going to be very tricky for Corgi to be able to come back.
Yeah. I got this like little chill part here, and then the speed up, which is not easy, but compared to how hard the slowdown is a lot more straightforward. Probably not going to see a lot of X lost in that section.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that any player at this level is going to be dropping 80 EX at this part. So yeah, this is pretty much one of those tournament songs where the beginning just sends, it's all or nothing. If you don't get the beginning, then it's really rough.
Curious to see what Desklamp score is. I feel like it's a very solid run from him. Does drop it a little bit right at the end, but
yeah, it looks like he had a very strong handle on that. I'd be willing to assume that was his pick.
Yeah, 61 is very good at melee in that chart. Very hard to melee that slow down.
Definitely impressive. So then with Chaos Challenge being Corgi's pick, we have to assume that she's really confident in the gimmicks.
Yeah.
Though if we glance at the rest of the set here, it doesn't look like there was many other options that weren't just as brutal. Yeah, that was a very hefty card draw.
Yeah, that was a rough draw.
Kind of interesting because we do have a rule set going in this tournament here where if both players are not okay with the draw, then they'll redraw it for you one time. So, who knows? Maybe this was a redraw.
Possible.
Which is very possible, but
seems like players don't really opt to make use of that very often, and it kind of makes sense because if your opponent says they want to redraw it, it's like, well, if they really don't want to play it, maybe I should play it.
Maybe I should, exactly. So it's hard to be the first person to say, like, yeah I want to redraw. Definitely, there's a bit of mind gaming going on in that, in that portion of like the strategy. Wow.
Aggressive ghost stepping.
Yeah, a powerful start from Corgi there. Chaos, being full of stops, taking up the time in the song, being, resulting in a lower note count than a lot of other 16s, which means that, you definitely have less room to drop points in EX because the overall total in the song is so much lower.
Yeah, and if you sort of have a little brain fart and forget how one gimmick goes, it can really cost you because there just aren't that many X to make up.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the classic chaos stop section.
Both players very close. Corgi only down by 7 right now. And with these constant stops, it's going to be impossible for either player to, quote unquote, lock in and stay in that marvelous timing because it's just constantly shifting you in and out of it.
Yeah, it's very close. I think it's going to come down to the tricky crossover run at the end.
Yes, we're going to need to see these players give it their best on these crossovers here. Wow. Desklamp just breaking ahead there at the end.
Yeah.
So another 2-0 victory.
Corgi picked up a few grades and a miss, and it was just a little too much. But good, solid run. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
4 grades, very good run.
59-4, definitely an impressive score to see.
Yeah, Desklamp is looking really good in this pool so far from what we've seen.
Yeah, probably one of the
2-0 here.
one of the more promising players to potentially make it out of this pool.
Let's see, is there maybe one or like two more matches, I guess, in this pool? Something like that?
Okay, so it looks like next up we're going to have Zachary versus Selzla here. And it looks like the song selection went Golden Arrow Expert 16 and Reach the Sky Without You Expert 17. So this should be a fun set. Definitely not as punishing as some of the previous sets that we've seen.
Yeah, I would say these are things that at least players at this level might actually pick for fun as opposed to I mean, I don't know, some people do enjoy chaos or things like that, or Poochie, but it's a little, you kind of got to really grit your teeth if you're like, all right, it's time to play chaos. Whereas Reach the Sky Without You, it's kind of a banger. It has a few gimmicks, but it's nothing too crazy.
Definitely, yeah. It's certainly expected for players at this level to be well versed in these charts that aren't nearly as punishing, right? Whereas some of those other really nasty gimmicky charts, like what we've seen vetoed in this set, Chaos, Terrortech, and Avenger, can definitely hurt if you haven't specifically practiced that song. More antics coming from Zachary and the fan base.
Yeah, the crowd is always very lively when Zachary's playing.
Yes, it just has that energy about him.
Yeah.
He's very uplifting. And for anyone that was in the stream late last night for the late show, and appreciated the commentating by me and Zachary, then thank you. We had all kinds of fun. I'm hoping that maybe later on we would be able to commentate together again. It would be a who and a half, I'm sure.
I think from what I know, I think this should be a pretty good set for Selzla's strengths. I would say on 16, more straightforward, 17, just MA. I think that's probably where he's the strongest.
Okay.
Doesn't struggles maybe a little more with 18 or the more crossover heavy technical charts, but both these charts are relatively straightforward.
Well, that is an interesting point to make because from what I know about Zachary, the same is true. So this is going to be a very, very intense head-to-head battle then.
Yeah, I think they'll be closely matched for sure.
Looks like Zachary a little bit indecisive about the read speed there at the start. Yeah, so I don't imagine we're going to see too much of a split in the score for probably the first half of the song here.
Yeah.
Both of these players were pretty expected to be nailing pretty much everything.
And they both look pretty locked in. Not really, don't seem to be struggling with the cap sync or anything, which can be, like the two, I would say in my experience, the two tournament caps don't feel quite the same sync-wise, so it can be a little tricky even translate, like going from one to the other.
Yeah,
Essentially.
definitely. You know, and that's something that Zachary has had to do. Coming from the previous pool, has had to switch between both cabinets, whereas Selzla's 2 matches have just been on this cab.
Selzla did pick up a miss, but the X is still very close, down 3.
Yeah, it is definitely still anyone's game at this point. Zachary holding on to that PFC.
Selzla rushing a little bit in that run, picking up a few more perfects.
Yeah, both players still pretty close. It looks like they're only off by about 5 EX or so. All right, we've got another run coming up here. We'll see if that changes the EX score comparison at all. Okay.
Zachary has it,
Yeah.
but very close.
Wow, and holding on to that gold combo. PF seeing the chart with 29
Right,
perfects.
very good.
Wow. Such a competitive match. The MA so close there. Lots of crowd support coming for Zachary. Huge crowd reactions coming from something happening on the other stream. So if you want to know what amazing thing just happened, then you'll have to tune into the other stream at SoCalDDR on Twitch. We're hearing some cheers for Anson. I'm definitely not surprised to hear it. We're seeing nothing but antics come from that man today.
Continuing his streak as the potential crowd favorite.
Yeah, definitely. Zachary's got some competition in that department.
True, true.
I can't imagine how hyped the crowd would be if both of those players end up playing against each other.
That would be an exciting match.
Yeah.
The volume levels would be high for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody in the chat saying Anson just PFC'd 9 expert. Wow.
Wow.
That's difficult 17.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, you know, other than 1 or 2 of the 18s he's been forced to play, I think everything 17 and below he has pretty much PFC'd or flagged
Wow.
the entire tournament. He is just so on point today.
Yeah.
We don't know what was put in his drink this morning, but I want some of it.
That can be the advantage of being really familiar with the Cavs too. For you know,
Definitely,
to
yeah, that home
avoid,
field
you know,
advantage
any
coming in clutch.
misses or things like that too, to not quite being so familiar with the pads.
Yep. Zachary yet again getting ready to play the song at the last possible moment. You love to see it. It looks like we've got Selzla playing on Mirror here.
Yeah.
Which is actually the same way that I opt to play this chart. Can make a bit of those, you know, slowed down runs a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Just depending on what your dominant foot is and stuff.
Yeah,
I know that there's typically a heavy argument, you know, versus like the push or pull if you're doing staircases, whether you're the type of person that prefers to have your legs moving backwards or moving forwards.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought about that before, but I definitely prefer to pull, and I do not like to push.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the most common sentiment that players have.
Here we have the slowdown, which is kind of tricky, especially these little fast rounds at the end can be hard to time, but both handling it very well. Selzla picking up a miss. But
Yeah, dropping combo, but it doesn't look like it's going to hurt him that much.
No.
They're still very, very comparable in EX score at the moment.
good stops, pretty hype stop section here. Ooh, it's really close. They're tied.
Yeah, absolutely tied at the moment. This late into the song, too. This is going to make for a nail-biting finish, I'm sure.
Come down to the ending. Oh, they're still tied.
Wow, it's going to be up to both of these players to really hold on here and not give up any extra EX that they have to.
Wow, Selzla pulling away at the end there with some really clean MA on that ending.
Very impressive to see.
Zachary with the
Yet
FC.
another super close match
Yep.
ends in a 1-1.
Yeah, that was a very close match. Those two players were very evenly matched on those two songs for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting pool. I'm not anticipating any ties here, actually, just based on the the amount of players that have continuously taken those 2-0 victories, and it seems like everyone else in the pool is kind of going for those 1-1s.
Yeah.
So
Getting
yeah,
that extra point for those 2-0s probably will let them pull ahead. Seems likely.
yeah, definitely.
We're just waiting it out. We're ahead of schedule on our side, so we're waiting.
Yep. All right, so we are yet again ahead of schedule. Seems like we're on the fast side. RTO's working just a little bit harder. So yeah, we are ahead again. We're just waiting for the match to finish on the other side.
Yeah, I was gonna be so upset if I had to wait in line to dap you up. Okay.
Zachary, would you like to come speak to the folks while we're in our little break here, waiting for the next match?
Post-game interview.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so we have my Barbie bestie, Zachary, coming to fill in for a moment and
I won't
say hi.
I won't put on the headphones because I am moist right now. Ah! Hold on.
That was
Okay.
such an impressive match.
My God.
How you feeling after that?
Okay, honestly, I kind of tuned out after pool 15, and then they're like, "Hey, someone dropped out. You're in pool 16." And I was like,
Yeah.
I was having an existential crisis. I was like, girl, am I next?
No, I think you're good. I think
Yeah,
you're good.
I don't know. I'm choosing whatever songs I like.
Yeah.
Like
we can
earlier.
definitely tell you're all having fun up there.
Yeah, like I chose Possession 18, the remix, because I was like, I'm not going through. I'm having some fun.
Yeah.
But then that
You
tired
are
the hell out of
absolutely
me.
yelling at our viewers right now.
So anyway, like honestly, like I don't know, head rush.
Yeah, that is to be expected. You've been putting in
Yeah.
a lot of work here.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, we're loading. We're buffering.
Oh no.
That's okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm just here for fun.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of vibing. Reach the Sky Without You, a favorite. That's why I chose. I asked my competitor. I was like, "You want to play it?" And he was like, "Sure." And I was like, "Let's choose it." You know, I had what songs? I had that one song that's like everyone's weep song. The that 16 was there, and I was like, that's boring.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah. And then another one was like a 15, and I was like, we could do better than that.
Yeah. See, look at this. Zachary
Yeah.
thinking of you guys. He's literally picking his songs
Yeah.
for you.
I was like, let's just have fun. Aftermath.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Aftermath was up there, but like, you know,
Yeah.
like
definitely.
what would have Barbie done? Chose the girl, reached the sky.
Absolutely.
Without you, we don't need Ken. So how have you been commenting? Cheating on me.
I know. I feel so bad. If you had just gotten eliminated in pool 15 like we planned, then we could have been doing this whole. But you just had to go and show everybody up.
You know, forfeiting.
Okay, let's not go that far.
Oh.
I'd rather see you up there than over here because I want to see you win. So.
Win,
Yes, win.
win,
Win.
chat,
First place.
win.
Win.
No.
Win.
No.
It needs to happen. W's in chat for Zachary, please.
L's in chat, please. If I was a brother, I'd be Luigi with that big L on my hat. Oh my gosh, we should get demonetized.
I don't think that's a great idea. I think it's still a little bit early in the day for
Why
that.
not? It's Sin City.
I got the be right back button ready.
Yeah.
Be right back, bud. But now, how have you been? I wasn't here to see your matchup.
So I went 1-1 in all 3 of my matches. I didn't make it out of my pool, but I am perfectly okay with that because I was on such a long hiatus. I was just getting tired throughout every set. So I'm just happy that I was able to,
Yeah.
bang it out and get a few
I'm-
wins.
I'm-
so, yeah, the heart rate is
Yeah,
going.
I am.
Yeah, I'm sure all the Red Bull you've been sucking down isn't helping either.
I had one thick, delicious Red Bull.
Mm-hmm. And it is only 5 p.m., folks, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I mean, I don't know. Like,
We are going to take a beer.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds like we're going to take a little break here. So we will see you guys in a moment.
yeah, I won't be here, so good to see you. Who knows if I'll commentate? Probably not.
Hopefully, please. Bye. Welcome back, gamers. We are here for the last round of Pool 16. Our next matchup here is going to be Desklamp versus Yoshi. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup to see. Desklamp is currently undefeated in this pool, so if he's able to maintain that streak, then he will definitely be moving on to the next pool.
And it looks like they both have used their pocket picks here. Yoshi pocket picking Neutrino expert, and Desklamp pocket picking Possession expert.
Yes, from what I know, Desklamp is very, very well versed in Possession. For the longest time, I believe he had an 11 perfect PFC on it.
Wow.
I don't know if he's actually managed to clutch out the SDP on that chart yet, but I know that it's something he frequently uses as a warm-up song. So yeah, that is going to be a really, really tough one to beat him on for sure.
Mm-hmm. But it's definitely an interesting contrast between these two songs. Neutrino has a lot of speed changes, very technical, kind of weird. Possession, I mean, it's very tiring, but
For the
players
most part,
at
it's
this
very
level is
straightforward.
pretty, I think, yeah, straightforward. It's
Yeah.
going to be MA. Does
Right.
have the slowdown box run, which can be a little tricky, but
Right, but it definitely speaks to Desklamp's confidence in relying on his MA and MA alone to get him through that song.
yeah. Interested to see what speeds they opt to read this at. It does have some speed ups all the way to 300, but they are pretty short. Some people memorize them. It looks like they're not reading it at both 2.25s. So I would say they probably don't have the speed ups memorized.
Yeah. Definitely. You know, in order to read this chart any faster, you pretty much would need to memorize those speed ups.
Yeah.
Which honestly is surprising to see that Yoshi doesn't have them memorized, considering this is his pocket pick, right?
Yeah.
Which you would assume is the song you're like most well-versed in that you want to throw out, so.
It is kind of a, I mean, they're not too long, but it's sort of like an annoying length to try to memorize. You definitely kind of got to sit down in front of the YouTube video and really grind it out. It's not something you can just memorize in 10 minutes.
Certainly, yeah.
Very close, both doing really well through these beginning slowdowns and speed ups.
Yeah, both players holding their PFC. EX scores looking very, very close at the moment.
We're going to get into the 205 section for the rest of the chart, which you have to read like slightly slower, but it's not too bad. But it is pretty dense.
Yeah, neither of these players, I think, are the type to depend on those, 650 plus speed mods in order to get through charts. So I think that that's maybe why they opted for the slower speed mod there. They both seem to be very, very comfortable at the read speed they're at here.
Yeah. Yoshi's slightly ahead, but it's very close. And there's this very nasty run right at the end here with a long break right before. It can be easy to start this a little too early or a little too late. It's very fast.
And throw you off for the entire thing, certainly. All right. Yoshi hanging on to it. So
Yeah.
Desklamp takes his first song loss of the entire pool.
Both with near PFC runs on that. Very impressive.
Yeah, very, very impressive to see. 41 perfects on that, just unheard of. Definitely hard to compete with. Desklamp put up a fight, but it's tough when that's what you're up against.
Yeah. All right, so we're moving on to Deskslamp's pocket pick Possession. Another classic. I would say, well, modern classic, I guess. Hopefully we won't hear any clapping from the crowd.
Yeah, hopefully not. This is definitely one of those risky charts to pick in the tournament, right? you may get trolled by the crowd a little bit. It's definitely difficult to control the crowd. So they're going to do what they want. They are a force operating on their own. But typically, if I'm on the pads and and the crowd is making any kind of disruptions behind me, I just use it as motivation. Turn it into that positive force to help me try even harder.
Yoshi has a high score there of 23 P, which is quite good.
Yeah. So as you were saying, that this being one of those more straightforward 17s. Any player at this level is definitely going to be tough to play this song against them. I imagine that this, the final EX score here is not going to be very far off at all.
Yeah, I mean, any one mistake could really cost you on something like this, where conceivably we can see both players getting 15, 20 perfects or something.
Yeah. Expecting to see a pretty sizable white combo battle here at the beginning. Oh. My first commentator's curse. You hate to see it.
Yoshi holding on to it though through the intro. Only 1x difference. No matter. Probably won't matter too much. Both, does slow down boxes really nicely.
Yep, and as predicted, it looks like they were pretty much just trading the one perfect. Oh wow!
Son picks up a miss.
Yeah, both players, traded a few blunders there.
Yoshi
so
does
kind of evening out.
Yoshi was opting for the bracketing all four arrows strat there for a little bit, although switch off at the end.
Maybe that speaks to a level of fatigue he's experiencing at the moment. Very, very possible. While this is a straightforward 17, both players nailing that run amazingly. While this is a straightforward 17, it's also one of the most stamina draining. It's just relentless. It never lets up. And Yoshi has competed through an entire pool already, right?
Very close right now. I think Desklamp is very slightly ahead. But it could come down to the ending step jumps.
Oh man, yeah. Yoshi dropping a few more there with the bracketing option.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard for Yoshi to come back. Not much time left here. Desklamp is not showing any signs of weakness.
Yeah,
not
certainly.
dropping perfects.
All right, and it looks like Desklamp takes it for the 1-1 victory.
Looks a little gassed though at the end. Both of them looked like they were trying hard.
You definitely can't blame them, right?
23, very good of it.
Yeah, that is so crazy to just pull out 23 perfects on that. Which actually was what we saw was Yoshi's record on the song.
I think so.
But yes, a great showing by both players for sure.
I think that is it for pool 16. Not 100% sure who's... Oh, maybe there's one more.
So some very hype action happening on the other stream here. It looks like we've got Anson versus Corgi. Corgi able to sneak a song win off of Anson. The whole crowd loving it, absolutely loving it.
Giving each other a big hug. It's nice to see.
So yeah, actually, I think with that, because Anson's last match went 1-1 as well, I believe that both Anson and Desklamp have a 5-1.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, a 5-1 record at the moment. So I would assume that regardless of what happens in this next match, that those two players would be moving on.
Yeah, that seems likely.
But take that with a grain of salt. I don't have the standings in front of me, so that's just based on my own tracking. I could definitely be wrong about that.
For our last match here, we're going to have Ike Pie versus Selzla. Ike Pie picking Healing Division Challenge, and Selzla using his pocket pick on Panacolic.
Both very, very nasty charts for sure.
In different ways, but equally
yeah.
nasty.
Yeah, for sure. Healing Division is going to be one of these ones where I'll be interested to see what options the players go for. Commonly is a shuffled chart, that can make the ending a little bit easier because you won't have to deal with that nasty crossover run.
Yeah, at the cost of sort of making the section before adding some like pretty ugly double stepping, but for players that are very comfortable double stepping, definitely shuffle is a common choice.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see if either player will opt to use sudden plus, because there's a very easy place to turn it off. This is a common chart that people will use sudden plus on just because the whole first half of the chart is so slow.
Yeah, I would say if you use it on anything, you probably use it on this.
Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, the physically hardest part is definitely the end, but the whole song is very late. It can be pretty difficult to time the slower section at the beginning with how not so great the sync is.
Yeah, especially if you do opt to use some type of turn mod that screws up the chart for you a little bit, and you are having to rely on those double steps, right?
And it can kind of catch you off guard too, if you some weird double stepping, weird shuffle you're not expecting.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like we do see the shuffle from Ike Pie. You know, the one downside of using shuffle is that you have a 1 in 4 chance to get whatever shuffle you're expecting. You're not necessarily guaranteed, to get a specific chart that you may have been practicing. So there is going to be a bit of a sight readability to it, right? Unless you've played the chart 100 times and you've seen all the different shuffle options. It's very rare for players to be well versed in all the different shuffles that they could end up with. So that can definitely act against Ike Pie here.
Selzla does opt to use sudden plus, and also is reading a lot fast. Well, I would say Ike Pie is reading quite slow for 360. 125 is pretty slow.
Yeah, but that is typical from what we've seen from him. It looks like it could bite him here, though. He has been already picking up a few greats and goods.
Selzla is kind of pulling ahead a bit here in this intro, holding his PFC almost 30x lead, I think.
Definitely. This is going to be an interesting matchup because they have opted for such different option strategies on the song. Selzla is definitely going to have a much more difficult time at the end, having to face that crossover run, whereas Ike Pie will just be able to hone in and focus purely on MA because the run will be much easier. Yeah,
even with a big lead, that lead could vanish very quickly with how difficult that crossover section is.
Definitely. Okay, a successful sudden plus turn off. That's always good to see. You hate to see when a player misses the button.
See Ike Pie doing some very fast double stepping here, trying to deal with this shuffle section before the run.
Ike Pie's going to need to really nail this here.
Oh, Selzla really moving on those crossovers.
Yeah. Selzla just holding on to that commanding lead.
Did pick up a few grades and one miss, but pretty
didn't end up mattering
through that.
Yeah, almost 100-point EX lead. That is a very, very impressive. Also noting that was Ike Pie's pick. So this is going to be it's certainly a struggle going into the next song here, trying to beat Selzla on his own pocket pick for the victory.
Yeah, 5 and a miss, really clean run on that.
Yeah, wow, that is insane. 5 and a miss.
Panacolic, pretty relatively newer song, crossover from the Sound Voltex crossover event, I think.
Yes, and a really, really fast chart. Lots of 16th note runs in here at 220, jackhammers as well.
Yeah. Some interesting sections you can opt to throw some foot switches in there if you're comfortable with them.
Right, if they're well versed in the chart. Looks like we're getting a bit of a rule confirmation on whether baby powder is allowed to be used. Looks like Selzla is opting to try and use some baby powder on this super fast
understandable
chart here.
Can't really blame him. I mean, we'll have to see what the verdict is, but hitting some of those 220 bursts definitely can be tough on a pad that's a little grippier than you want.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like the final ruling coming in for this is that the players are allowed to use it. They just can't put it directly on the pads. So he'll have to sprinkle a little bit of it, in his hand and wipe it on the bottom of his shoes, to assist him that way.
On the pad. All right. On the pad. Are they wiping it off after or what? Are they wiping it off after or what? What if someone doesn't want the pad? So what happens if one player does not want baby powder on their pads after?
to get confirmation on
Yeah,
exactly the details of this baby powder situation.
Yeah,
here
it
with
is
the
a bit of a touchy subject in the community, as certain players, opt to use it, and other players are strictly against it. So it can be a little weird when you're talking about editing the condition that the pads are going to be in for other players coming up.
Getting into it here. So these really fast bursts start coming out here. Mostly 8 notes for now, but both holding gold combo. Very close hex too.
Yes, and Ike Pie reading significantly slower yet again. And another chart with a pretty mean slowdown.
Yeah.
We'll see if he's going to be affected there.
Yeah, you can kind of either choose to do some unpleasant jacks or some very strange, but you can kind of foot switch it. You have to kind of do a mix of foot switching and jacking.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
weird.
It
Definitely
doesn't
need to-
it doesn't work itself out entirely. It's almost, it wasn't written to be foot switched.
Yeah, and it's also very hard to time these fast bursts. So.
We've got some very loud cheering coming from the other side. Something crazy going on over there. Hopefully that isn't affecting our players too much. We can only do so much for the sound pollution between the two cabs. As far as the sound coming out of the machines we can handle, but the crowd is a whole other beast. Like I mentioned before, the crowd's got a mind of its own.
Ike Pie slightly ahead, but still very close. Foot switch all these ups and downs if you sort of know what you're expecting here.
Wow, such a close match there.
Ike Pie holds on, but
By
just barely.
3 perfects.
And that was on Selzla's pocket pick too.
Yeah, very interesting. Both players won on each other's picks for the set. Definitely interesting to see that happen. Yeah, if I am correct, I believe that is the last match we're going to see here for Pool 16. So now we're just going to be standing by, waiting to see the results of the match happening on the opposite side. And then shortly we should know who is going to be advancing into Pool 17, which I believe is going to be our final pool before we make our way into the top 12 bracket.
Yeah. The crowd is hyped up over there. Looks like they're playing a set of some firestorms over there. Both
Wow.
firestorms, and that's
Interesting. Zachary and Sonny are facing off with Firestorm Expert and Firestorm Challenge. And Firestorm Challenge was actually a pocket pick, so that's a very, very cheeky strat to make the other player play the same song twice in a row. Okay, so it looks like we actually are going to see one more match here. Very exciting stuff. It looks like, if I am correct, Anson and Yoshi are going to be battling it out here in just a moment. They're in the middle of their card draw here, so we'll see what kind of crazy songs we're going to see these players rip.
I wonder if this is a tiebreaker or if it's just a normal match.
It is very possible, that this is a tiebreaker.
And both of them came up from
I
Pool
think
14,
that's
right?
GG's for 16, huh? All right.
Or 15.
All right. Here you go, Jay.
So have we finished Pool 16 completely?
We'll do our handoff behind you guys, and then you'll
Okay. Yeah.
do your thing. I'll switch over there. Tag out.
All right, we just got a bit of a shift change going on at the moment. So are we officially going into Pool 17 at the moment? Or are we dealing with some type of tiebreaker? I'm not 100% sure.
About to find out.
Okay.
Let's look at the results page.
Yeah, let's go ahead and view the results page so we can get some more intel here on what is going to be going down, who is moving on and not. Okay, so we've got the standings here. Desklamp looking very, very impressive up there in the lead. And then we do have, to double check, are we, 2 players are advancing from the pool only, yes? Okay, so yeah, I believe only 2 players are going to be advancing. So yeah, I think we are actually dealing with a tiebreaker then, because it looked like we did have a tie for 2nd and 3rd at the moment.
Between Yoshi and Anson. Do you know what the rules are for the tiebreakers?
So,
the draw words?
Yeah, so I believe the way they're doing it is that they've got a 5-song draw, and then they're banning down to 1.
Okay.
And then they just play the final song, and it's a 1-song, it's a one-off sudden death for the tiebreaker.
Interesting.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah, you guys, whenever you guys are ready to hop in. So we're, I think we're doing a tiebreaker. We're going to do a tiebreaker for 16, and then, yeah, and then you guys will hop in right after. Good stuff? Okay, awesome.
I'm not saying get up and go.
Okay, yeah, so we do have a tiebreaker coming in between Anson and Yoshi.
Curious to see what song they'll
Yeah,
end up
what song
playing.
they ended up having to play against each other. I don't know if, as a commentator, I'm allowed to be biased here, but I would say that Yoshi maybe has his back against the wall. Anson has been performing very, very consistently today. So
yeah, and I think he's got the crowd behind him too. I think there's going to be a lot of hype from the crowd on this tiebreaker.
Yeah, definitely. I am super excited to see what happens here. I'm sure it's going to be mind-blowing.
We got like 72 hours to do it.
Giving us all kinds of mystery here, not sorting by level, so we have 0 clue. Ooh, oh goodness, okay. It's going to be B.
I wonder what the draw was that.
Yeah, if
led
they
them
ended
down
up
to
with this as the final pick, right?
It's definitely one of the most straightforward 17s, I would say.
Yeah.
Just have the big stream, but there's nothing too crazy.
So we've got the draw here. It looks like the 4 songs that the players eliminated were Astro Gazer Challenge 18, Amera Challenge 17, Firestorm Challenge 16, and Sakura Sunrise Challenge 16.
Yeah, all right. That makes that makes sense. I can't really fault him for
probably would have ended up
those.
with the same result. Yeah. So yeah, even more so, I think that Yoshi's definitely got his back against the wall here, because every single song that we've seen that's straightforward, Anson has just been absolutely destroying.
This will definitely be a MA battle.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's not going to be a very wide score spread by the end of the song for sure. It is going to get a little hefty. There's the big drill section, and that is probably going to be a deciding factor for the match, how well the players are able to lock in.
Very close right now. Both holding their onto their PFC.
Yeah, pretty neck and neck. I assume we're going to see it be extremely neck and neck until the drill section. And then even right after, there are going to be a few cheeky, crossover gallop sections. And both of these players having coming up from previous pools are probably starting to feel the fatigue. So I can imagine by the end of this song, having to, throw out all those crossovers too is going to be difficult to maintain the MA on top of that.
Yeah, if you're kind of in the mindset that it's like, oh, it's just stamina, I just have to hit the notes, you can kind of get caught off guard a little bit by some of those crossover gallops.
Okay, and here we go.
Yoshi.
Both players still holding that green. No, I was gonna say yellow, but it went green.
They kind of
another
traded a
commentator's
few
curse.
back and forth there, but still really close.
Yeah, the great's almost not mattering here. They're still very, very neck and neck.
All right, here's these crossover gallops. Both opting to foot switch them, I think.
Wow, they're still absolutely tied at the moment. Okay, and so it looks like we have a tie on the tiebreaker.
Crowd goes crazy.
There is no way. That is absolutely insane. The entire crowd going nuts for this. You can't write, you couldn't have scripted this better. This is the stuff we come to see, folks.
They're both very happy, I think.
Yes.
Just enjoyed it.
Both players on top of the world. I'm sure they're feeling absolutely amazing about this. So I guess we're going to have to stand by and see what happens here because we do still need to settle this tiebreaker. I'm not sure if there's going to be some type of you know, deciding factor based on the scores we see here. If they're gonna default to money score, or if you know, there will be another draw and another song played. So we will have to stay tuned and see what they decide to do here. Getting some very encouraging words from the audience as a top 13 chant prematurely goes, you know, before we're even through our last pool yet.
Looks like they are doing another card draw, I think.
Yeah, so I would assume that we're going to see another 5-song draw here, and then, you know, banning down to 1. So we're going to see, you know, a repeat of the exact same process. This is the craziest thing I could have expected to see at the end of this pool. But I did call it. I said it was going to be incredible to watch.
High in the tiebreaker. It's pretty high.
Okay, so it looks like maybe they're going for a 3-song draw here this time.
It's like somebody banned Poochie there, I think.
Yeah, hard to see what those
Understandably.
song jackets are.
Yeah.
We're seeing what you guys are seeing, but we will definitely clarify it for you in a moment.
Alright, let's find out what the double tiebreaker song will be here.
Okay, so it looks like Out of Focus is going to be the next tiebreaker song, which hopefully should be a little bit more of a wishy-washy chart to, you know, allow an actual tie break to happen.
Yeah.
Because both players handled that straightforward chart so well. There's definitely a lot more places to get caught here.
Yeah, there's some pretty tricky rhythms and slowdowns. in Out of
So
Focus.
it looks like the 2 songs that were vetoed were Tohoku Challenge and Poochie Expert. Which,
Understandable
again,
because-
completely understandable that the players probably very tired at this point, opted to play the lower difficulty chart. But it is a very technical 15. You know, apart from the sync being pretty bad, and there being a few ambiguous parts in here, there's also some pretty nasty gimmicks.
Yeah, this slowdown is pretty tricky too. Yoshi picking up some perfects there in the slowdown.
Yeah, Anson staying locked in, as to be expected. He's just seems like he's incapable of picking up grades today.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing showing to see. Okay, so Anson up just a little bit at the break here. It's definitely not over yet. We have seen them trading, you know, quite a bit in the last song, so the same could happen.
It goes stepping, sounding very satisfying. During
Yeah,
the break.
Anson not leaving any room for Yoshi to catch up here. He is MAing so well. You can tell how badly he wants it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to make up that amount of X in the rest of the chart. Anson really wants it.
It looks like he is starting to pull ahead there. Yeah, I'm not sure we've even really got enough EX left in the song for Yoshi to be able to come back. And Anson does pull off the win.
Another PFC.
And another PFC. Wow, 18 perfects. That is incredible to see.
Very good.
So yeah, it looks like Anson. Big cheers from the audience there. Anson will be moving on to pool 17. So we have now officially seen the first player climb through 3 pools. Anson started at pool 14, and he is now going to be, I assume, another top contender in pool 17. So we'll see if he has what it takes to make it out of that one as well and into our final bracket.
Crazy.
So I think that is going to do it for me and my buddy Larks here. You guys will be joined by some new commentators for the final pool, so stay tuned. That'll be coming up very shortly. Bye.